Hey, what's up YouTube? Out here in the early morning busting out a quick review. So this is a brand. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. They're calling this a bayonet knife. So they're calling this a bayonet knife. I would call it a self-defense spike. It comes with this synthetic sheath. It's got eyelets and slots. And it's got this clip. Okay, it does hold it in. The knife itself. Well, first of all, the history. There's a lot of history behind this. All right, basically, Cold Steel sells something called the Jungle Dart, which is a plastic version of this knife. Cold Steel used to sell something that was called the Urban Dart, which was very, very similar to this. But that's been discontinued for a long, long time. Right? Now, the Cold Steel Urban Dart was actually based on an even older design, and I'm not sure who first did that, but it was pre-Cold Steel. Okay, so a lot of history. But the takeaway is that if you missed out on the Urban Dart because it's been discontinued for so long, you can have this, right? This is now available. It's like an off-brand take on that same concept. It's a triangular spike. Now YouTube, before we go further, help a brother out, do me a solid, leave a comment because it really helps with engagement. Okay, leave a positive comment. You can talk about whatever you want. Political rants, A-OK with me. Free speech on this channel. This was $30. It is OS 8 steel. It is one solid piece of steel with just a rubber coating there and a lanyard hole. Right, but this will not break. Okay, it does not have an edge. Right, so this is exclusively a piercing item. It does not need a guard because there's no edge. Okay, so you're safe in that manner. Right, triangular cross section with a groove right there that's definitely going to catch some DNA. The blade length is 3.9 inches, but this is the type of item, once it starts going in, it's going to go in past that 3.9 inches. So the reach or the how much is going to pierce, I mean, it's greater than that length. You know what I'm saying? This is a last resort item. This is not the type of thing that you just use without thinking about it, right? This is not the type of thing you use for a casual, shoving match or something like that. Common sense, really. But there could be some times in this crazy world where you need something like this. I have to say the sheath makes it a lot more worth it because something like this is pretty much useless if you don't have a convenient way to carry it, and this just solves a lot of problems. There's many ways you could rig this up. A lot of the cost of this is actually justified by this because you can make a spike. There's 1,000 ways to make a shank, right? But you have to rig up your own carry system, right? So this just solves that problem. All right, a few comparisons. The last spike I showed was this titanium alloy ice pick. All right, so again, the comparison of specialized piercing items. And I've shown this a long time ago. It's a Hua spike. So, I mean, there's many different ways to go if you're talking about a self-defense spike, but that's a Hua spike. Now, this is actually one of my no-spin throwing spikes, but I've slightly modified this to be more useful for hand-to-hand combat if it comes to that. It's just another example, just slightly modified, right? And this was a lot less expensive, right? This is this is pretty nasty. There's a million ways to make a specialized piercing item, okay, which we often call a shank. Now, a shank is an improvised weapon that they use in prison, but we call this a shank too, simply because this is a manufactured production commercial version of that same improvised design, right? You understand that? I kind of think if you actually did end up fighting for your life, I think that too far is probably exactly where you want to be, just in terms of, not necessarily in terms of equipment, but at least in terms of mindset, right? Combat mindset, You ain't there to make friends, right? And, In a fight for your life, a second place finish is not so good. Alright, so here is a summary of the pertinent information. It has a triangular cross section. It is a spike. It is AUS 8 steel, 3.9 inch blade length, 4.7 ounces, so fairly light. It was $30, and it is a generic version of the discontinued Urban Dart, which Cold Steel used to make. Okay, and here's another close-up of the item for you. All right, and for that one kid that always asks if you can throw it, well, yes. Yes, you can. I can throw it quite hard. This is very close range because, you know, in self-defense, if they're 40 meters away, 40 feet away, you don't have to fight them, right? So it's going to be at close range if you really did that. But yeah, I can throw it quite hard. Will the tip survive? Yes, it will. I've thrown it a few times. It's triangular. It's a very strong tip. Yeah, so final thoughts on what they're calling the bayonet knife? Well, I think it could be useful to some people. Like I said, I mean, you can make a piercing item with, let's say, a landscaping nail and just bulk it up with some grip. But if you don't want to do a little project like that, this gives you something very usable out of the box with a good sheath to for you to carry it with. So this could be very convenient for some people, and it's just a bonus that, you know, like I said, most of us missed out on that Cold Steel Urban Dart. I remember those from when I was a teenager, so that was a long time ago. So I'm glad that there's something like it again. Hope you enjoyed seeing it. This has been We All Juggle Knives. Subscribe if you like cool stuff like this. I'm out.